Hello, everyone. We're about to start, so requesting if everyone can please kindly take their seats.
Hello, everyone. May I have your attention, please? We're about to start this day 0 session, so I would appreciate if you sit down and we could start the session soon.
Recording in progress.
And there's also a small information that I would like to provide. The registration desk is on the 3rd floor, 1 level above this. You all will have to register before you enter here. And also, due to the protocols of the hotel, if you don't have the badge, the hotel staff might stop you from entering. So to avoid any inconvenience, please do register before you enter. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have 20 seconds to settle down and then we will start officially. We should go there. Should just put it there. What do you think? Should we use that table? Yeah. Christine. Can we use this? Oh, right. So we, okay. So where do you want us to stand? Oh, it's scripted.
And we are also using hashtag APrIGF 2022 as our hashtag. So let's promote APrIGF and please feel to tweet, post on Facebook or any social media. Please get other people involved as well.
Just in the camera. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all our participants who have joined us both in person and online. My name is Swaran Ravindra and I'm from Fiji.
I'm Ashirwad Tripathy from Nepal, and we would like to welcome you to this session. So we started our journey as fellows just like you, and we hope that you guys are involved, you guys speak up, you do not hesitate, and we find a future leader from here. So this day 0 is about you to understand what APrIGF is, how it functions, how we take our decisions. And it's also for you not to hesitate and, provide us with inputs, because we adopt a bottom-up approach, and it's your voices that matter most.
So let's start by playing a short game. So we have 10 minutes where the fellows will be speaking to other fellows. You will get an opportunity to get to know each other, tell each other a little bit about yourself and the main reason why you are here. What is the impact that you are looking at generating? Your time starts now.
And make sure that you introduce yourselves to people that you don't know, new people. So
they should know or not. So they could just post what they, one or two things.
Yeah, but if we had that in our plan.
That is too much. Oh, okay. Did you want me to?
So what you'll have to do is you'll have to find a person that you don't know, you've not met, not your friends. Maybe YIGF and APrIGF can interact with each other. And you ask them 2 questions, all right? And please just move around, move around.
I won't take up this 10 minutes. Come on, let's get up. Let's do this in person. We are so blessed to be able to do this in person.
And also in this game, the one you introduce yourself to, just sit with them rather than your group.
So fellows, if we don't see you talking to anybody, you don't get your certificates.
Yeah, if someone is not active and they are within themselves, then we're gonna call them front, and they'll have to speak again.
Yeah, it's not even 2 minutes. Well done. Remember, you have to do the intro. It's Jenna. Remember, these guys are cooking. Okay, this session can include your selfies, but as long as you are talking to each other too. No certificates for those who don't talk.
And the second part of the game is that you'll have to sit with the person that you're just introduced to. So don't sit with the friends, interact, make new friends. Find people with whom you share your interests. It's very important that you understand each other's culture when you're in these kind of events. That's another learning in itself. All right, our game is almost over, so find faces that you want to talk to quickly as well. So now, excuse me, everybody, the game time is over. The lecture time might begin, so do not sit where you sat before. Sit with the new met friends. Interact with each other.
She's doing her work.
Hello. How are you? I'm not from Pakistan. Oh, I'm not. You remember my application?
Okay, now we have 2 minutes to settle down. Okay, let's settle down. Please take a seat.
Let's settle down. I hope you're liking the game. You have 3 days to play this game. So these 3 days of APrIGF, just keep on playing this game, keep on introducing and meeting new people, and keep on interacting.
Okay, let's settle down. Please take a seat. Please take a seat. Please take a seat. Please take a seat. You can continue with this.
Yes, guys, we have 3 more days for you to play this game. So, and we have lunch break and networking break after the event.
Please take a seat. Okay. Let's not forget that the APrIGF Fellowship Program is about meaningful engagement before, during, and after the program. So you have lots of time. It's not limited to 10 minutes, but we will have to cut you now. Okay. Thank you. So just to tell you a little bit about APrIGF, the Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum serves as a platform for discussion, exchange, and collaboration in efforts towards global internet governance development in the Asia Pacific region. APrIGF's objectives to raise awareness and encourage participation from relevant stakeholders around the region on internet governance issues, as well as to foster multilateral, multi-stakeholder discussions about issues pertinent to the internet. The multi-stakeholder approach is a core principle of the APrIGF, with the emphasis on the diversity of participants and openness of the discussion. So this is only the beginning.
So yes, we have 3 more days to interact, and we have just 1 hour of this event. So make sure now your attention is towards here. And well, this day 1 is for you, for your capacity building, and we need your support in ensuring that the internet is inclusive, sustainable, and trusted. And that's the theme of this year. We're going back to the basic. We're putting people at the center. So with that being said, we add up the bottom-up approach in our forum. That means that every voices are heard. We make sure that every voices are heard. So for that, we have various stakeholder engagement committee, we have program committee, various committees where you can, put in your thoughts. And also, we welcome you all to join the multi-stakeholder group if you're very interested in making an impact in your region as well as the Asia Pacific region. Being that said, for this capacity building session, we have expert of this field. We actually were a fellow and we're still learning, but one of our chair and one of the most beautiful person that I know, I'd like to welcome Anju, the chair of multi-stakeholder group, to give her remarks.
Yay! Fun fact, these two, sorry. Oh, I'm blocking the remote, sorry. Fun fact, these two, Ashirwad and Swaran, were our fellows, so alumni fellows now, and they're now part of the multi-stakeholder group, which is we call the leadership group. And this leadership group is fantastic. I would not be here without them. These people are amazing. I could name all of them, but not now, but you will get to meet all of them later. Swaran has already talked about what APrIGF is, but I wanted to focus on one thing, multi-stakeholder community. What does that mean to you? Can someone tell me? What is multi-stakeholder community? Anyone?
May I add to that?
Yes, please.
All right. So hello, everyone. I am Umut from Pakistan. In my view, the multi-stakeholder community or the multi-stakeholder approach is basically a community where people come from different backgrounds, with people from different knowledge bases come together and give a different perspective. So for example, in this particular context, you don't have to be some tech people or some IT professionals or maybe internet society members, but rather they can be general public. They can be the lawyers that deal with the cyber law. They can be sociologists, economists, psychologists, all sitting together, all giving their versions in order to form a more comprehensive and acceptable policy.
Awesome, Umar. Thank you so much for joining remote participants. I also have to acknowledge them. Thank you so much. One more, and then we'll move to the next. Please go ahead.
Multi-stakeholderism is a form of governance wherein we give a platform to diverse voices coming from different backgrounds, and most importantly, to the voices which are not ordinarily represented.
Right.
Like
Which
the marginalized voices.
Right. And who are the marginalized communities? Shout. You don't need the mic. Who are the marginalized communities? Come on, come on. I have seen a few here. What about someone coming from the remote islands? Are they marginalized? Why? What? They're all part of internet ecosystem. Now, when you are focusing on Asia Pacific Internet Governance Forum, focus on these communities. You are here representing your communities. Am I correct? Are you representing yourself only? Right. I'm not representing myself. I'm also representing your community. I'm representing my community. I'm even representing my family. My mom has difficulties, trying to get online sometimes. She continues to hassle me. But, at the end of the day, we need to help my mom. Youths, not many youths are able to join this session. You were fortunate enough to join, but some of the fellows could not join because of visa issues, because of flight issues. There are lots of challenges that people face that we don't know about. And just yesterday, there was an earthquake in Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea is a big island country in the Pacific. We will have delegation from the minister's office, which is the Ministry of ICT. They'll be joining us tomorrow. But there's also our representatives from the from PNG, from AP, they joined APNIC, they joined APSIG, and they're also joining APrIGF. But imagine going through an earthquake and trying to travel at the same time. How difficult is that? But I think, when you're talking about APrIGF is a discussion forum. You have so many different topics, so many different sessions. Most of you were part of APSIG, right? But it's just, just a small point in terms of, what we could do with the different sessions. But there's a huge and diverse topic that experts will be coming together, joining you, and you'll be learning from them this week. But what I want you to understand is that you're not just representing yourself, you're representing the different communities. Now, there's another special community that we always need to focus on, persons with disability. I'm going to get Bhaskar and Manik to just say a few words, how difficult it is for them to be here, but also how inclusive, how we need to be very inclusive.
Firstly, in the first day, I tried to borrow your eye to see this world. But if I have the technology in a proper manner, in a barrier-free way, then I don't need to borrow your eye. I can do it independently. That's why I came here, to make internet inclusive for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Adding to what Vashka said, Manik, especially internet, I will make you realize how difficult it is without seeing, without hearing, how difficult it is to access the internet. So as people with non-disabilities, all of y'all have to play a key role making the internet access for people like us. Thank you.
Accessibility is key, diversity, inclusion. I'm not going to talk about the different topics, but I want you to go around the room, this whole session, this whole week, find out what each and everyone is doing, but be genuine, but also show some respect and kindness, because there are lots of people that are going through so much. We, the MSG group, the chairs, we are going to be around. Come to us if you feel like you want to meet someone. So for example, I'm just going to give an example. We have Chengetai here who's going to speak, and he is from the global IGF. Chengetai, please stand up. He's from the UN IGF. So there's a global process, but that global process also aligns to regional and national. So if you want to get to know him, you tell me, we'll introduce you to Chengetai. And if he says no, you come and complain to me, okay? All right, okay, I'm just gonna end it here because we have different people talking about different sessions. I'm gonna hand it over to Jennifer. And I have to say, before I hand it over to Jennifer, can we give a round of applause to Christine? Christine, please stand up. We would not be here. This would not have happened without this lady. She is amazing. And now I'll hand it over to Jennifer. Jennifer can introduce herself.
Thank you, Anju. Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Chung. For those who haven't seen me or seen my name or seen me these 2 days, I work for DotAsia organization, but I am part of the APrIGF Secretariat. Some of you may have received emails from me, and some of you may have sent emails to me. But here I am going to talk a little bit about the synthesis document. And the synthesis document is one of the key outputs of the Asia Pacific Regional IGF. We started this as a pilot experiment back in 2015. So this year will be our 8th edition of this document. And this is a little different. This document is not a negotiated document. We don't sit in the town hall session and, kind of just pick through the language in that way. What this document really wants to show is the highlights and the issues and the important key topics that we talk about at APrIGF every year. So each document every year will be a little different. What is also important is there are so many interesting, important internet governance policy issues in our region, but we do not include every single issue that happens in our region into this one document. Otherwise, it will be the longest document ever. No one will ever read it. This document really aims to reflect what is discussed during APrIGF meeting. Now, how can you participate? Can we go to the next slide? We have a framework document. This is draft 0, currently on the comment platform, comment.aprigf.asia. It is currently live. You can type it on your laptop, look at it on mobile. And what this is really meant to do is when you are in the workshops, when you are listening to interesting issues, when you are participating, or if you hear something that you think, okay, this is very important to capture and to reflect in this document, go here. You can scroll up and down. I think this is just a screen capture, but you will see each workshop reflected in a separate paragraph. You can click on a little speech bubble there, and you'll be able to input your name, your email. Your email will not be published, but then you will be able to put a comment in or put a question in, anything that you think is really important to be captured. This document is actually shepherded by our drafting committee. Our drafting committee is a committee of volunteers who are constituted every year to help us collect this input, to help us draft this document. And at the end of the process, this document is published. What is very interesting this year is this is also the year where the UN Secretary General is looking for input to the Global Digital Compact. I'm not going to talk too much about that. You'll hear more of it from Anya and from Chengetai later on. But this is a very important process that we need to make sure we have our voices heard, we have our input into this process. This is very important for our Asia Pacific region. We are a large region. We have most of the world's population here, also most of the unconnected people here as well. So we need to make sure that issues, policy issues, internet governance issues that are important to us, that are discussed here, are reflected in this document and are reflected in the comments and inputs into the Global Digital Compact public consultations. And finally, I really want to say that at the end of each APrIGF conference day, there will be a town hall session. What is this town hall session? It's really a session for all of you. Everything you've heard during the day, this 1 hour at the end of this day, is very precious. It's for you to take the mic. Anybody can line up in person and also remote. We will have a queue. Take the mic and tell us, these are the things that are important to you. These are the things that you've heard during the day that really do reflect the discussions that we've had during this meeting. So I really urge you, Anju was saying before, make your voices heard. This is one way of making sure your voice is heard when it's captured in this document, when it's captured in all these processes. And I also want to say the drafting committee, the committee that shepherds the whole process, is open for membership as well. Any of you here sitting in this room, any fellows, any of the youth IGF fellows as well, you are very welcome to join us. There is no barrier for entry. We just need your passion and we need a little bit of your time, but it is a very rewarding experience. It's a very rewarding process. And I think hopefully you'll also learn a lot from this. So I urge all of you to kind of keep this on a tab open throughout the conference, comment.aprigf.asia. When you hear something interesting, when you think something is important to be captured, go on there, put a comment in so we make sure that we can go through and see all these comments, and we'll make sure we include it in the final document itself. So that's my little bit of introduction, passing it back to Ashirwad.
Thank you, Jen. Another information for you. So we want this event to be interactive. So we're watching you guys, and the most interactive people, they'll get some kind of gift, very good gift. Anyways, I like this poem by Robert Herrick. It says, gather your rosebuds while you may, old times still flying, because the same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. On this note, we have Chengetai here. So gather your rosebuds. The IGF Secretariat is here. Please be interactive and please ask your question to you, Chengetai.
Thank you very much. So my name is Chengetai Masango, and I am in charge of the IGF Secretariat based in Geneva. How many of you have been to a global IGF? Okay, great. We have a few of you. And where? Oh, in Turkey. Okay, great, great. And anybody else at the back? Germany, Geneva. Okay, okay, great. So it's a few of you, less than half of you, but let me just go very quickly about the IGF, and then I'll turn it over to Anya, whom I think most of you know more than they know me. But anyway, let's get to the first slide. So the IGF, well, first of all, the brief introduction. The IGF is a global multi-stakeholder group that is discussing public policy issues concerning the internet, and public policy issues can be anything from IP addresses to social aspects, to economic aspects, etc. But how did we start? The IGF started in the World Summit of the Information Society, that is WSIS. And the idea of the WSIS started in the year 2000, I think, in Tunisia, where there was the ITU plenipotentiary, and there was a discussion, and people and governments were noticing that there's this thing called the internet, and more of the economic and social aspects were coming on this internet, but the governments didn't have much of a say in how the internet run, and also the other stakeholder groups, they weren't really communicating. And there was also this growing digital divide of the haves and have-nots, those who were connected to the internet and those who weren't connected to the internet. And it was seen that those who were connected to the internet were having more and more benefits and were leaving the others behind. So there was a proposal by the president of Tunisia for a World Summit on the Information Society, which was taken up by the Secretary General, and the Secretary General decided that it was going to be a cross-agency meeting, and it was also going to be multi-stakeholder as well. So there were two phases. There was phase one in 2003, and here they were discussing internet governance in general. But when they started discussing internet governance, they suddenly found out they didn't have a real definition of what internet governance is. And if you're discussing anything, you should have a common understanding and a common definition of what internet governance is. So as the UN, they decided to establish a working group on internet governance, which was based in Geneva. And that's actually when I joined the process. So the working group on internet governance was a multi-stakeholder body, and they discussed and came up with a definition of internet governance. And the definition of internet governance they came up with was that internet governance is the development and application by governments, the private sector, civil society, in their respective roles of shared principles, norms, rules, decision-making procedures, and programs that shape the evolution and use of the internet. So that was the definition, and that definition is not a very narrow definition, it's a very broad definition of internet governance. And then in paragraph 72 of the Tunis agenda, they called the Secretary General to convene a multi-stakeholder forum for the internet governance. And he did that, establishing the Secretariat in Geneva. And the first meeting was in Athens in Greece. Next slide, please, whoever's controlling slides. Thank you very much. And I should be fast because I'm going to get chased off soon. So just a bit about the IGF structure. So we have a secretariat, which I said, based in Geneva, and our home institution is actually in New York, which is the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. I should have made that a question, actually, since we're supposed to be into. Then there is the multi-stakeholder advisory group. And what is the multi-stakeholder advisory group? Can somebody tell me? Anybody? Remember, there's prizes. Okay.
Yeah, we have prizes. I forgot to give prizes.
So a multi-stakeholder advisory group becomes a group of people who are representatives of a particular multi-stakeholder, and they have convened meetings along with ICANN, and they give advices on what the future of internet governance would look like, and they give their opinions as a representative of that particular multi-stakeholder group.
Yes, so we have a multi-stakeholder advisory group, which consists of 40 members, and they represent the 5 regions. And which are the 5 regions? See, the questions are coming. What are the 5 world regions that the IGF is divided into? And we have to be quick because I'm going to get chucked out of here.
Europe, Africa.
Nope.
Nope.
Next. Okay, there. No, Europe is not one of them. Next.
Yes, okay. And then it is Europe, Asia Pacific, Africa, North America, South America,
North America,
and Caribbean countries. Yes, I
Nope.
think. Yeah.
Okay, it's very difficult. One more. Okay, the person who gets this gets a present, definitely.
Okay, let me try. May I?
And
am I
no
audible?
using the internet, please. We know how you're online as well.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I think Asia Pacific,
Yeah.
Africa,
Mhm.
Latin American, Caribbean.
Yes.
I think I just know about these, maybe.
Okay, I'll put you out your misery. So no present for that. Europe is very difficult because Europe is divided into, so there's WEOG, that's the Western Europe and others group, which consists of Western Europe, the USA, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And then we have Eastern Europe, which is the former Soviet republics. Asia Pacific, you got Africa, you got, and GRULOG, which is South America and the Caribbean regions. So yes, the European, because it's split into 2, is rather difficult. I do understand that. But anyway, and then recently we've had the IGF leadership panel, which was set up by the Secretary General just a couple of weeks ago, in fact. And we have people like Maria Ressa from the Philippines and Gebes Hassan. We have the Indian Vice Minister of Technology. We have the former Prime Minister of Estonia, etc. And we have the Vice Minister from MIC from Japan as well. And they are there to enhance the IGF and to make these connections with other bodies like the G7, European Union, and all these other high-level bodies as well. So we occupy the full spectrum from the top to the grassroots level as well. Next slide, please. Yes. So for the IGF, we have had meetings since 2006, as I said, in Athens. And the main purpose is to go from region to region so that we give a chance for people to come, because sometimes it's very expensive, especially like from people from the Asia Pacific region to go to South America or to go to Europe, for instance. So this is where we've been to Athens, Rio de Janeiro, Hyderabad, I remember Hyderabad very well, Sikh, Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, Vilnius, Nairobi, Poland. We had a virtual meeting in 2022 because of COVID. And this year we are going to be in Addis Ababa, and next year we're going to be in Japan. But one thing I must underline is that the IGF is not just the annual meeting. We have a various intersessional activities, which I think I'll highlight on the next slide. Next slide. Okay, well, the next slide, I suppose. But okay, for here, we have the annual IGF. We have the multi-stakeholder advisor group meeting, which meets 3 times or 2 times a year, planning the program. We do have an open call for issues. And since next year we're going to be in the Asia Pacific region, it is very important that we get your opinions, what the issues that we're going to be discussing next year will be. This call is going to go out in December, and we really do want the youth as well to participate in this call. So please watch out for it, and please input your suggestions as well. And we have a lot of capacity building programs. Next slide. 1 minute? Oh, wait, you have to give me 5 minutes because Anya has to speak as well. Okay, so IGF in December in Addis Ababa, I think I've already spoken about it. We have funding available for the youth. There's going to be a youth forum there, and hopefully we'll see some of you there as well. If you're not able to come there in person, you can come online. Next slide. Okay, this is the bottom-up multi-stakeholder program. That's fine. We can finish with that. It's over 300 session types, etc. High-level leaders track, parliamentary track, and youth track. I've already mentioned that. So next slide, and I think we're going to skip the next slide as well. Yes, skip this slide. It's for the parliamentary. Youth track, I think I'll give it to Anya, who is in charge of our youth track and also in charge of the national and regional initiatives. She's got a couple more minutes, right?
I assume
just
in
a couple.
seconds. Yes. Thank you very much. Really great to be here. And I'm looking forward to meet you in person all after. Chengetai helped me, so I'm not going to take a lot of time because he already spoke about the principles of the IGF. So let me just tell you the way we want the principles to live and to be basically the framework of the internet we want very much is related to developing capacity for the next generation of leaders and experts, which are the young people. After this session, I think in a couple of minutes, we will have a dedicated session which is part of the youth track. So allow me to speak more about the youth track and the activities the IGF Secretariat, together with all youth IGFs, is planning for this year, but especially for next year, which I think is very important for this region as we are heading to Japan. And I'll speak there, but I would like to just say a few words about the NRIs. Maybe Christine can move to the next slide. Chengetai already spoke about the intersessional work, so you're not coming back here, I assume. But let's just go, Christine, to the next slide. As you can see here, while Christine is moving to the next slide, the intersessional work is really about the substantive work that's happening throughout the year. It's community-led for the community. It's open to everyone. You saw the topics, they're relating to cybersecurity, gender, internet fragmentation, meaningful access, and the starting position for all of you to understand more how to connect with other stakeholders and your peers from all around the world through this intersessional work is really to visit the IGF website and subscribe to the open mailing lists. I would also advise that you use the opportunity that me and Chengetai are here, but also a number of MAG members that are here, former MAG members and current, that know a lot about intersessional work and can guide you, I think, to how effectively to engage. Now, I want to speak just a little bit, just next slide, Christine, about the NRIs. Quick question for you. Are there here stakeholders that were never at a national IGF? I'm not asking for regional because we're here, so it doesn't make sense. But for the national IGF, are there stakeholders who do not have a national IGF in their countries? So yes, which country is that?
Philippines?
For example, if you're from Fiji, probably you don't. If you come from Myanmar, probably you don't. Cambodia, and so on. There are a number of countries in the Asia Pacific region, but I think given the
Pakistan.
Pakistan. Pakistan does, but I know that it's a little bit challenging in the past 2-3 years, but there's really a good community there and there's a recognized national IGF. And I hope that we can maybe speak later to have the Pakistan IGF be what it was at the beginning when it started. A number of countries do not have their national IGFs. If you're interested maybe to start one or to understand how to start one, it would be good in the next 2-3 days that we're here to, that we meet and speak. But in general, what you need to know is that the NRIs, the national and regional IGFs, sub-regional IGFs, but also the youth IGFs are completely organic. They were created by the communities from around the world following the IGF model, being inspired by the principles that the IGF model incorporates. And the idea was that through the national IGFs, regional IGFs, communities of particular countries and regions can gather together to discuss what's primarily the priority for their countries and their regions. And with that, then bring those outputs further to other IGFs, to the global IGF, and be part of the global discussions. There are 155 NRIs officially recognized. They follow the same principles as the IGF. And if Christine maybe just can go to the NRIs map, that's the next, I think, slide. Just that you can see, this is a geographical distribution of all the NRIs, I think very good. But as I said, many of the countries, especially in this region, do not have the national IGFs. The value of the regional IGFs is that we get to meet each other. And the fact that you are here and there's a national IGF may be a change after this meeting where we can see a potential to establish one. So with that, I know we're super over time, so I'll stop here and thank you very much.
Thank you, Anya. We do have a session on NRI as well as other sessions at APrIGF, so please do attend that. So thank you, Chengetai and NRI. Thank you, Chengetai and Anya. I'm sorry about that. Anyways, you know, in the bottom-up approach, there are a lot of people giving their views, but it's sometimes hard to find a find a point where you have a decision. So it's very difficult. But however, this year in program committee, we had a very good co-conveners, Babu and Joyce. So I'll hand it over to Joyce for you to just say a few words.
Thanks very much, Ashirwad. Maybe not slightly more than a few words, I hope. So hello, everyone. I'm Joyce Chen. In this meeting, actually, I wear a lot of hats. I'm told to walk backwards where the camera is. Can you see me now? Okay. I might walk away later, but don't worry, I'm still here. So I was saying I wear many hats in this conference. I'm APNIC staff, as you can tell from the sticker. That's important to know because APNIC, or the Asia Pacific Network Information Center, is also co-hosting the APrIGF. So do come up to us. We are very visibly identified, and come and talk to us. We'll be more than happy to speak with you. And of course, you can also join the sessions at the APNIC 54 conference when that starts 2 days from now. Oh, is it? Yes. So anyway, I'm also here as the co-convener for the APrIGF program committee. And together with me is Babu. That's Babu. And we have a very fabulous committee that has put together the program for the APrIGF. I have also another hat, which is I'm a current MAC member for the IGF, together with Amrita. Where is she? Oh, she's at the back talking to Wakas. Amrita, just wave. So if you have any questions about APNIC, about APrIGF, about the IGF, I am here. I'm your resource. You can come and speak to me. I'll be more than happy to say hi. So about the APrIGF program. This year's overarching theme is, and I have to read it because it's very long, and it's people at the center, and listen carefully, envisioning a community-led internet that is inclusive, sustainable, and trusted. The first person who can tell me what the 3 sub-themes are for APrIGF gets a prize. Come on, come on. 3 sub-themes, come on.
It's trust, inclusivity, and sustainability.
Well done, well done. Inclusion, sustainability, and trust. Now, if you look at the 3 sub-themes for APrIGF, they are a little bit different from the sub-themes that you would typically see at the IGF, the global IGF. So the global IGF this year has 5 sub-themes, if I'm not wrong, and I won't name them. There are a few of them. There's like avoiding internet fragmentation, human rights, etc., etc. They're a little more detailed. But at the APrIGF, we decided last year to do a slightly different approach. We figured that maybe we should try and make the sub-themes more general, broader, just one word like inclusion. And then anything or any topic or issue that comes under this topic can be submitted as a workshop proposal. So inclusion doesn't just mean internet access. It can also mean diversity, representation. There are many ways to think about what inclusion is and what inclusion matters are. Same for sustainability. So what can you think of when you think about sustainability? Environmental issues. So APrIGF this year has a session on environment. Christine is one of the organizers, but that one, so look out for it. What else about sustainability? Sustainability of the internet ecosystem, right? We talk about the multi-stakeholder model. Is it sustainable? So there are a lot of sessions this year also about this very issue. And then finally, trust. So usually when people think about trust, we think about cybersecurity, you know, a trusted internet. We also talk about data protection, right? Can you use the internet in a trusted way? So there are many ways to think about the sub-themes. And so the reason that the APrIGF Program Committee only wanted these three was really so that you can be creative when you submit your proposals to us. We don't want to tell you, we only want proposals about this, 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 and this. We want you to tell us, what do you want to listen and discuss at the APrIGF? So now having said that, is anybody here, did anyone submit a proposal this year? Show of hands. Keep your hands up. Did your proposal get accepted? Well done. Oh, wow. Big hand applause, yeah. That's a huge achievement because this year we received over 80 proposals. Doesn't sound like a lot because at the IGF, we received way more than that. I think 300 plus proposals or something like that. And we have to look through all of them. 80 proposals, 80 plus proposals this year, but only I think a quarter or less actually got accepted. So actually getting into the APrIGF is really not that easy. The program committee is very hard to please, but we do give everybody a fair chance. So I hope that next year, more people in the room will put your hands up to say, I've submitted a proposal. I really hope to see that, hope to see more, and hope to see more quality proposals as well. So that's all the time I have. Thanks very much. Any questions, just come to me.
Thank you, Joyce. I have had this first-hand experience of Joyce juggling with all the proposals and all. So thank you very much for that. And I hope the event will be very successful. That being said, we'll move on to the next session of this capacity building program. It's Transferring Future of Youth, the Opportunities and Challenges. It's an IGF Youth Engagement Track, so please engage. And for that, I'll hand the mic over to Jenna. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. It's me again. How are you guys doing? Good? All right. So this year, we get a chance to actually have the youth track and then collaborate with the global IGF and having a session with all the youth-led session here today at APrIGF Day 0. So just quickly heading to the topic already, I think everyone got really excited about this year's meeting because we've been stuck at home for like 2 years and then we finally reunited here. And in the past 2 years, we learned a lot that how important is the technologies in internet, because without that, our education and work cannot really continue. And then we should really recognize how digital transformation is affecting us every day. Consider we don't have much time, I will just cut down all my intro that I prepare, which is not so important now because what matters more is we have time for all of us to talk with our global youth community who join us remotely, as well as everyone in the room here today. But before we
move on to have this open floor to discuss this topic together. I would like to pass the time to Anya to give us a few words on this topic and for this session.
Jenna agreed that I can speak from here and sitting because we will have a couple of slides to share. But I want to thank Jenna and the Youth Asia Pacific IGF and the APrIGF for hosting this session. In short, Chengetai spoke at the beginning about the youth engagement, and this is a good opportunity to circle back to that point and just quickly remind that the IGF Secretariat, but I would say much broadly, technically the whole ecosystem is very much focused on engaging young people in internet governance and developing capacity for those that will tomorrow take the positions of experts, leaders, decision shapers, and decision makers. And the sooner we start with that, the sooner we will have better framework for addressing issues that relate to internet governance, and with that better internet that we all want to have. The idea for this year, agreed with all the youth IGFs, with a number of organizations that are youth focused regarding internet governance, was that we would do around 5 capacity development workshops, which are interconnected. They are designed in a bottom-up manner by the parties that I've just mentioned now, and they will be delivered in cooperation and thanks to the support of the regional IGFs, just because, as I said at the beginning, those are the meeting points for all of us. So we were very fortunate to be able to launch this track at EuroDig, I believe in June. We were in Italy, in Trieste. We continued with the second workshop where we discussed prerequisites for digital transformation at the African IGF in Malawi. And finally, the African IGF led us here to the APrIGF in Singapore, where we are hosting the third workshop. As Jenna said, the whole concept of this youth engagement this year is focused on digital transformation as a very broad topic. That has been a topic that's been recognized by young people following the outputs from IGF 2021. And all these workshops that we are hosting this year are focused on particular aspects that young people are finding as important. And now I've been informed I can share a few slides with you. And so every workshop, as I said, is trying to unwrap a particular aspect of digital transformation as the umbrella topic of this year's youth track. And the idea would be that 5 capacity development workshops will lead us to the Global Youth Summit, which will be hosted at the 17th IGF in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia on 28th of November. Some of the names of the colleagues that are involved in the organization of this track are here. They're obviously, we couldn't put them all on the slide, but if you visit the IGF website page, then you can see the colleagues that are working really hard for delivering these workshops. For this particular workshop here at the APrIGF, we've decided that after discussing what digital transformation is about at EuroDig, what are the prerequisites for digital transformation to benefit from it, discussed at the African IGF, to focus a little bit more on the role of new technologies for digital transformation, and especially how is that impacting education and employment opportunities for young people and also in a broader sense. I am very glad to see in this room not just young people, but really a number of senior experts that I know from the ecosystem, which hold expertise in various issues on internet governance, including matters such as new and emerging technologies, specifically artificial intelligence, which will be a subject of our discussion today. And I'm kindly inviting you to join me in bringing inputs on the topic and also discussing what could be the action points that this session could produce in order to bring some prosperity on the issues that we will recognize in a couple of minutes. Today with me, there are a couple of experts which are also online. I think Jenna also mentioned, and we will also hear from them very shortly. But since I'm holding the microphone, Jenna will allow me maybe to just quickly remind what we've discussed when we launched the youth track at Eurodig in Italy. We spoke about what digital transformation is. And one of the conclusions from that workshop is that it's very difficult to respond with one definition or even with one description of what digital transformation is. As it seems to different stakeholders, it means different things. But essentially it comes, and I'm sure you will agree with me, to one value, which is very important. That is that people need to benefit and maximize opportunities from existing and newly coming digital technologies, which are backed with good digital policies. In terms of the United Nations, you will often hear that digital transformation is very much discussed and present in discussions in the context of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and 17th Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, as digital technologies have been recognized as an accelerator of achieving the SDGs. And as I said, today we're going to focus a little bit more on AI, on artificial intelligence, and how is that affecting our real life now, and what are the estimates for tomorrow and future to come. To start from the scratch about defining the artificial intelligence very similarly to digital transformation conclusion, it's difficult to find one unified definition. There are different definitions of it, but I think they're all not contradicting to each other. And for example, you can see some of the examples that we outline here coming from the academic realm as well as from the IGO spheres. In any case, everything comes down to machine learning related to performing cognitive tasks. And when we speak to young people, when we ask them what is AI for them, usually you don't get a lot of raised hands where they respond until you ask them, do you live with the AI? And that's when you get a big show of hands. Before I ask you that question, I know that we have a poll in Zoom that we would like to launch. And I wanted to ask Christine if maybe you're ready. If you're connected to Zoom, it would be good just to understand from you if you are experiencing the effects of the new technologies in your everyday life. And then the second question we would like to ask you relates to trust. Are you trusting your devices and tools and services which are connected to online? So we'll give you a couple of, maybe a minute for both polls to be responded, and then let's see where we are. While you're responding, I may just continue saying what I started at the beginning in terms of how you are experiencing AI in everyday life. I'm pretty sure if I would ask for a show of hands to you, you would probably all raise your hands. But if I would ask you what's the source of that experience, since many of you here are young people and probably enrolled still in some formal educational tracks, such as schools or universities, then probably not many of you will raise hands to say, yes, they're teaching me that in school. The question of curricula and syllabus in schools is something that I hope we will come to. It relates to digital literacy and digital capacity, which is problematic in many areas. And hopefully one of the action points from this session could be really to address that point as well. But in any case, if you are having a mobile phone, and if you're unlocking your mobile phone with the help of your face, then obviously you are exposed to AI. If you are searching certain results online, and if you get personalized content, then you're very much exposed to the AI doing. The same is if you're typing an email and you have some suggestions how to finish your word or your sentence, you're then exposed to the AI. If you're using certain maps to navigate your ways, and then those maps are telling you the traffic here is this and this, you're again exposed to the AI. If you're using e-banking, for example, and you are based in Singapore, but suddenly, even if you're here in Singapore, somebody tries to buy a pair of shoes, let's say in Izmir, probably your app will react to that to get your consent. That means that you are also exposed to AI. So those are just very simple examples, but there are obviously more complex ones. And this very much relates to trust, because every day, or better yet, every minute, you're exposed to it. So with that, let's see, what did you respond? On the first poll, can I ask Christine just to show us the results? if you think you trust, let's say this is the second question, but it's fine. Okay, now we're back to first. If you are, yes, experiencing the effects of the new tech, obviously, yes, the majority of you confirmed yes.
And I think most of the people in the room actually not on Zoom. So maybe, can you guys actually see the answer? Maybe too small, I may read it. So the option was like, I am experienced the effect of the new tech. Second is like, I need more opportunity to experience new tech. And last one, it's, I don't know. So maybe when you guys can put up your hand, because most of online participants choose number one. So what's the option one? And then option two? Okay, one hand. And the last one? I don't know. Probably know everything. Thank you, Anya.
Yes. Thank you, Jenna. Well, indeed, that's as expected. Because I see that all of you, it seems, have mobile phones, and that really makes you directly exposed to this. And then on the second question, are you trusting your devices, your phones, when being connected to the internet? This is always a tricky question. And the question of trust in the internet governance context is very much present and cross-cutting basically all teams. And I think the results of this poll very much reflect the discussions that we are used to in Internet Governance Forum context, which is that you are somewhere in between, yes, I trust, I don't know, and I don't trust. As you can see, there are no significant differences between this. And my question definitely for you later, and maybe Jenna will also pose this, is why? Why do you personally don't trust, or why you feel insecure, but yet again, you are using all this technology that is AI based? Thank you for I think we can end the poll. These are very interesting results. Thank you for responding. I'll just continue to guide you through a couple of slides just for the sake of setting the stage. And I'm looking forward to really learning from you. I think on these types of technologies, since they are developing basically every day very rapidly, it's very difficult to make any conclusions. I think we're just making premises, and the conclusions hopefully will come soon when we finally understand what principles we want these new technologies to govern it. Moving on, we said that this session will also specifically tackle into how the new and emerging technologies are touching education. Are there any innovations in that area? Are we lacking something? And then later we're going to see a little bit about the how the job field is being impacted. In any case, in terms of the from the perspective of the United Nations, what I was saying at the beginning, speaking about artificial intelligence is something that's very much present in the discussions. And for example, in the context of education, often it's been discussed in how to achieve quality education, which triggers some changes which can be prompted by digital technologies. For example, if you look at what are the current examples of having the AI embedded, or maybe that could be embedded in educational streams, that could relate to creating customized or personalized learning tools for students. In other words, to make it easier for you to learn certain content. Smart tutoring systems, smart grading systems, which would help a lot, especially teachers and professors in any educational level. Some are speaking about creating games and awards to prompt learning and create personalized learning schedules, which saves time and make learning more effective. Looking at what you wrote that is really authentic and that you are the author and not somebody and that you're not taking other people's context. So, or for example, transcription of lectures, which is something that I think very much exists in our practices. These types of examples look very, at the beginning, tempting, that they're saving our time, that they're making our learning process more effective, more efficient. But it doesn't come without concerns. There are many concerns which are of ethical, of legal nature, and also, of course, other, such as, for example, if you create innovative educational systems, who has access to it? The pandemic was probably the best illustrator of that, of the inequalities, of inequity that exists in the world when it comes about switching completely to online education. You saw reporting, for example, of the UNHCR, how many young people and students were really left behind, completely offline, deprived from right to education just because of not having access to the internet or a reliable device or skills to know how to use them. Of course, the questions about data protection and data governance in that sense are very much questionable. Who gathers your data to create personalized content? Where are those data stored? Are they used for something else? Those are the types of questions that are very much present in the discussions of the global community. Questions related to liability. What if something goes wrong? Who takes the responsibility? And then impact, of course, on work. So if you're creating these new tutoring systems, what's the role of teachers, for example? Question of algorithms, question of security and safety, and so on. So that's something that we would like to hear from you in terms of whether you experience these types of issues or you know somebody that experienced it. Is this something that's been discussed in your communities, or you think you are completely left behind from these discussions that in many communities are very much present? Quickly, just on how the international community, especially intergovernmental organizations, are reacting to these topics. It's very important to understand from you, are you left behind from these discussions? Because they're very much present on the agenda of the global organizations. And global organizations are there to serve all the people of all the planet. For example, we can refer to the Beijing Consensus on Artificial Intelligence and Education, which is a very important document offering guidance and recommendations how to best respond to opportunities and challenges that the AI brings to accelerate the quality of education, speaks about education management, how to deliver education backed with AI, how to empower teaching and teachers, speaks about learning assessment, which is very important, principles on the way you individually as a student and collectively your class is being assessed, to the extent of developing skills and values, offering lifelong learning opportunities for all. As I said at the beginning, when we speak about education and the innovations, the question of jobs obviously comes together among the concerns that machines are taking our jobs. And that's often an argument that you can hear, or a concern that you can hear in the community. Some of the estimates that you can see is that the technologies such as the AI, yes, indeed, are changing the job markets. For example, before I was traveling here from Geneva, I went to pay a bill in the bank directly. So I didn't use e-banking. I wanted to pay directly there. When I went there, there was a machine instead of an officer where I had to put my confirmation of payment and pay it through the machine. And so those are really valid concerns. But what's very important is that new technologies are also creating new job markets and new jobs. So the question is, how will this balance each other? Whether in the near future we will have more jobs which would require new skills, or we would have just additional jobs to what we have now. The predictions are that the artificial intelligence and similar technologies will have the strongest, well, is having already the strongest impact on sectors such as health sector in terms of predicting. The pandemic was probably the best test for us in the car industry, but also in the area of cybersecurity, in the area of e-commerce, in terms of predicting what you want to buy and the way how you're buying it in a safe and secure and efficient way. Again, concerns here relate to liability. So for example, in the health sector, if instead of a physical medical doctor, you have an algorithm that helps to make a prescription, what happens if something goes wrong based on that prescription that you received? Who's responsible? Who do you sue there? Privacy issues, again, data protection issues, accountability, which is very much questionable here. And then something that is more and more getting prominence is the AI bias in terms of stereotypes, in terms of gender, something that a human being is sensitive to consciously, but a machine is not necessarily to. And the questions of intellectual property. The questions of intellectual property is actually very interesting. I'm going to stop here because I know we will hear also from Emmanuel, and we would like definitely to hear from you. But I hope that we will also speak a little bit about the questions whether intellectual property or a patent can be given to a creation that is innovative, that is new, that is useful to the society, in that sense can be subject of a patent, but it's not created by human, but by a machine, and a human is requesting patent for something that's created by a machine. This is very interesting. It's a subject for court decisions in many jurisdictions. And even more interesting is that on similar set of facts, where similar law is applied, you have different discussions. The same applies for autonomous or self-driving vehicles. So if something goes wrong, and let's say you hit something while being in a self-driving car, who's responsible, who takes the liability? There as well, courts do have a lot of work to do, and you will see that the judgments of the verdicts coming from different courts are very much different in this sense. So it's a learning process for all of us, and especially it's different, and it's a learning process on a national level for legislations of certain countries which are emerging more and more, and it will be good really to hear from you later about that. So Jen, I'll stop here, but you may want to see with Emmanuel, he probably will come in. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Anya, for all the inputs on this topic. I believe with all this presentation, you should have some comments later on for our open discussions. I believe there might be something from the youth IGF participant, because yesterday we just had another panel about NFT and stuff, and then definitely now I think AI generated art, it's also another thing. And for sure, you guys will have some contribution later. But before that, I would like to ask if Emmanuel, if you are with us on the call right now.
Hi, Jenna, can you hear me?
I can hear you well. Will you be turning on camera today?
No, not today. It's very early here in Nigeria, so yeah.
All right, the time is yours.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ania, for setting the stage for this conversation. Good morning from Nigeria, and it's a pleasure to join you at this regional IGF meeting. So there are very vital issues that Ania has pointed out. I would just begin by sharing an experience of a colleague, a student friend who had to take a math test during the COVID period, and had to do this via a smart tutoring system. Apparently, the student was under the weather at the time and didn't do very well in the math test, so I had to take the test anyway because there was no opportunity to retake the test after that time. So I didn't do very well, and then from then on, for some odd reason, started getting adverts about maths improvement textbooks and free online classes for maths tutorials and maths teachers in the neighborhood. So apparently the student had already become a target for micro advertising, and had to deal with that issue for a while and shared that experience with me, and this brought my thoughts to some of the very critical implications of AI, especially in the context of educational technologies. How is data being used, data that is collected from edtech systems? How is this data being used after or before the fact? Oftentimes, building smart tutoring systems requires that student profiles are kept, generated and kept across grading, across assessment, across attendance, or probably across class interactions, across tutoring and tutorials. But then after the semester ends and after the class ends, what control do students have over how their data is used? And across the world, we still have data protection regimes that are still emerging. In many jurisdictions, these data protection regimes do not yet have provisions that extend into the implications of AI. In Nigeria, for example, we are working towards a data protection regime, and I'm aware that a few countries across West Africa and Africa in general are still trying to structure data protection regimes to meet up with the emerging technology framework that we see around AI and machine learning and automated decision systems. And the fact that much control is not given to the data subjects themselves is a cause for concern. You know, at the start of the pandemic, we began to see the emergence and adoption of EdTech systems and technologies across board. But then the students were given little say and little control over what to adopt and how they're going to use the systems, or how the systems are going to impact their lives. Speaking about informed content and data protection and surveillance, all of these issues are burning issues, and then they come to be in the context of educational systems and AI generally. And Anya raised a very interesting case about the tensions between intellectual property of AI systems and intellectual property of humans across board, and then also the concern about who takes liability in the self-driving car incidents. These are discussions that are ongoing, and these are critical points of concern that stakeholders need to pay attention to when discussing AI systems. These are just a few thoughts I have to share, and I'll yield the floor back for other speakers. Thank you, Jenna.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for your sharing. Anya, do you have anything to add before we move on?
I think we can move on, and I certainly can come in later, but it would be really good to hear from colleagues. What do they find? Do they find firstly these topics interesting? And what's very much important for capacity development framework that the IGF is also pursuing, but I'm sure broader as well, is are these topics discussed in your communities, and are they present through practices? Because countries are differing in terms of the application of the AI.
Definitely. That's a really good guiding question for we to start and open the floor for the discussion. We have enough time. And my role here, I will try to keep a queue and then do speak up, because the way I moderate is really depend on what you guys talking, and then we will find something. But before that, I actually would like to share a document with you guys, because there's a link that we can actually put all our comments in it. And that's really important, because not only in the session, because after the session, we can always improve the points that we brought up here today and then work on it. It's really simple. I try to simplify the link. You can access it and directly comment it, but then on site or online, actually. Anyone would like to comment on our speaker sharings, and then if you have any thoughts, please do raise your hand. I will try to keep a queue here right now. I saw a hand at the back and here. No, okay. So I'll pass it on to you first. Please mention your names and affiliation before you speak up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am Lokendra. I'm from Bangalore, India. I'm doing PhD there. So the question of trust was discussed in the presentation, and I have a comment on the trust. So I think there's a lack of trust, or people don't know whether they can trust technology, because we do not know how technology is essentially working. There's this whole black box problem, for example, in AI. We do not know how AI is making a decision. In the medical field, when AI is deployed, I think it makes life and death decisions. And so trust becomes an issue there. And even if AI were to become explainable, AI is based on neural networks, is so technically complex that a layperson, a non-technical person will find it very difficult to understand. So how do you develop a language to communicate with masses how technology actually works? So we are in a unique situation right now, I feel. So even though we do not trust technology, or we find it difficult to trust, we find ourselves surrounded by it all the time, like the latest technological products, just because of the sheer utility. So a question that I would like everyone to ponder over is, can the utility of technological products always subdue the question of trust and keep it in background? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the comment that's pointing out like trust is really important. This also resonates to our theme here today also. I believe, is there anyone want to comment at the back? Because I know, sure. Thank you so much, Evan.
Thank you. I'm Yuan from Indonesia. I'm also Mark in Indonesia IGF. Actually, but this is the first time I'm joining a meeting outside Indonesia. So basically, I have also a comment about the AI. So especially in the medical. So for instance, if a mother and a child is sick, and by calculations, the mother has more opportunity than the child, it's like an ethical also questions. But how will the AI decide to save which one? Because a mother will give away her life, right? But then how AI will decide? So I think since AI is advancing really fast, I think for sure we need a proper governance on how AI works. So that's my comment.
Thank you so much. Does Anya or Emmanuel or anyone in this room would like to directly respond to the two comments?
Yeah, may I?
Oh, sure. Please go ahead.
All right, thank you. So, so the first comment was very interesting, talking about trust and AI. Now, this is what happens. So, there are two active players in the discussion around AI and products and services. There are governments and then there are private companies. As one researcher put it, when governments give you AI products and require you to cede your trust in return or privacy, they offer you better security, they offer you better public services. But then when private companies ask you to cede trust or privacy, they seem to offer you better utilities, more effectiveness or efficiency in performing tasks and likes. But then do we really have to have a tension whenever we need to? Must there be something to trade? Must it be a give something for something situation whenever we have to talk about AI? And that is the trust problem. Can't we have AIs that we can choose from an informed place where we understand how this AI is working, where we understand how this AI is going to use our data, where we understand how our trust frameworks and our privacy is being affected by the way this AI operates. And recently, in a recent workshop that I had the opportunity of speaking at, part of the propositions that emanated was the fact that we could, incentivize the algorithmic auditing of AI products and services, so that one way or the other, AI companies or AI vendors who provide these products and services, they want you to patronize the services. They want you to adopt these services. That's the business model. Okay, but then when trust is not clear, when how privacy and trust is being affected is not clear, these services don't actually get the full potential that they deserve or that they desire in the markets. So is there a way to incentivize algorithmic auditing of AI products and services so that we have AI products and services that people are able to understand this black box mist around how they function and this black box cloud around how they function, and being able to choose them from a more informed perspectives? I think this is actually going to be is going to create a system or a framework where AI will be able to compete more fairly among AI products and services, rather, be able to compete more fairly in a more incentivized format, and then trust can be built from that framework. That is one recommendation that I have seen on the table in that regard, and I just thought to put that down.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for your response. And I saw that in the room we have how many hands? I saw a hand earlier from Stella, right? Okay, I'll keep the queue. Wait, go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Mong from the Philippines. As AI becomes more popular and we use it every day, we should prepare for eventual government regulation. So maybe we should discuss what kind of regulation will boost AI, what kind of regulation we should welcome, what kind of regulation we should reject. So at this point, we should discuss AI to policymakers so that they will not enforce regulation that will not really benefit society.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So my name is Stella, representing NetMission and part of the YIGF organizing committee. So I'll just take the discussion out of AI for a moment. I just wanted to mention that in the YIGF, we also did base our discussions around what we believe that we see as the new ABCs of internet governance. So we covered algorithm bias instead, big data and cybercrime, as well as our second session focused around emerging technology, which is growing up with the metaverse and virtual reality and NFTs. So we did want to highlight that some of the input that we got from our participants and speakers was that, for example, involvement in the metaverse and NFT itself does have impact on youth perspective on intellectual property. So the way we interact with how we believe, like, for instance, avatars, if we want to look like our idols, it's actually an infringement of intellectual property and copyright that hasn't really been thought about and hasn't really been discussed in terms of how youth are going to adhere to it. And also would like to highlight that we did surround our discussions a lot about digital citizenship, also with emphasis on moving from digital literacy towards adding responsibility and being proactive and productive members of the internet ecosystem to achieve a sort of youth digital citizenship. So we did want to mention that we are acknowledging the transforming technologies around us, and we, as from the YIGF session, we do believe that, you know, currently our goal would be to achieve that kind of digital citizenship with the basis of digital literacy. Thank you.
Am I audible? Yeah. Hi. My name is Upasna. I'm from India. I am a little doubtful about my qualification as a youth stakeholder, but I would still, this is more of a comment on what I saw in today's presentation. I think one of the key things that particularly affects youth as a group is mental health issues. Especially when it comes to recommender systems and the way it works. I feel because youth are quite impressionable, we've seen that there have been quite a lot of studies around the kind of mental health impact it has on people, how it has impacted the way their personalities develop, etc. I feel like it's a very under discussed issue in like most spaces. But I just wanted to sort of highlight that that should also be a concern when thinking about problems with artificial intelligence systems. That's all.
Hi, this is Neela from Bangladesh. There is an issue is trust, and I think if we create some policy and we write something like some disclaimer in AI system, like this application or this system driven by AI, so all that given data grabbed by AI, so you need to think about data protections, and you before you input and given any input in this system, you need to think how much you want to share. So I think we need to teach this type of literacy to the people, and then we can minimize the insecure problem and it will be more trustful for the users. The creating some policy before installation the application and softwares.
Please go ahead. We'll have another comment and then quickly summarize a little bit, then we go to the other two. Okay.
Okay, hello, I am Leah from Indonesia. So a lot of youth in Indonesia is the biggest issue is about how they are feel insecure about what they see from the social media, because they want to be something about the lifestyle and like that. And if they not do that, they have like the cyberbullying from them, because, you know, it's like, that's make insecure, and then the mental breakdown down because of that. And then that's really the biggest issue. And then when they don't they don't give the aspect of the people what they see, they will like chasing what they want, like from the easy money, something like that, and then this like illegal and like doing like that. This is the biggest issue in this country, like that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for the comment, and thank you so much for the reminder on the chat also, because we have so much comment on the document. We need to scroll it down for sure. We have multiple comments for sure, pointing out with all the comments we realize with digital transformation, it's not only affecting our work and education, but all aspect, because like pointing out there's like data protections issues and stuff. So that's Pio, and then we will have a gentleman here at the front. Pio, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pio from Myanmar. I'm the YGF. I'm the project coordinator of the YGF Myanmar, as well as Mission alumni, as well as APNIC fellow. I would like to share about my experience relating to the data protection. I got a chance to talk with the executive level or senior executive level who are from the financial sector, and she that is my experience. What I got is that she really don't care about the data of the customer. Even she is working at one of the biggest financial service company in Myanmar. We have trying to talk about the policy that are relating to the customer data, but she will reply me like this. She only really care about the if we care about those kinds of things, it might be move forward quickly. For us, like I share this story because I would like to mention that private sector is lacking, and we have to push the private sector, even the government, to regulate to protect our data, and even the policy that should be developed. And we also should encourage the private sector to engage in the internet governance community as well to respect our data. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Abdullah, for the record. I think for achieving all of the goals participants sharing, the next new global language is scripting. So if you talk about metaverse, you talk about IoT, you talk about blockchain, the policy thing is upside, but you need a hands-on skill to tweak with the computer. Like we are working with on Word. So there is a thing that is called no code or less code. So you should learn these non-technical people should learn these skill set and add this in the queue as well. So this is a suggestion from my side.
So I have a question, and it's about the trust. When we are speaking about AI and so on, the development, I think the majority of the development of AI is from a profit company, right? And then there is this government as a stakeholders who is the decision maker. And we as a community that is in the internet society, as you keep, not you, but we are trying to have this multi-stakeholderism. But how do we address this power imbalance between this profit company and government who can decide anything, but then we also want to have a voice, but then because trust is about you trust somebody not to abuse their power, right? But government or private company can easily do that without so much repercussion. So how can we address this so the power imbalance will not be as big as I feel that we have right now? Thank you.
What is your name again? Sorry, what is your name again?
Hi, I'm Ellen Kusuma from Indonesia, APrIGF 2022. Hello, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ellen. This is really good point about trust, and I'm sure there will be some response to it because it's a really interesting point. But before I would like to open the floor to anyone to respond to all this comment here, I saw a hand from our remote participation. Umut, are you with us? If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Can you hear us? All right, I believe there's some
now.
Now I can hear you now. All right,
Okay.
please go ahead.
Well, My opinion about this topic of artificial intelligence is that we
Can you speak up a little bit, Umut? Sorry, it's a bit too soft.
My opinion about artificial intelligence is that we don't see this this topic as something unique, as something that is we see it as it's at different stages or different stages in a process, and not something that is happening in all those stages happening at the same time. For example, when you are deploying, at the same time you are designing, at the same time you are detecting bias in the technology, and at the same time you are doing some auditing to these technologies.
I heard someone said he wants to comment, right? I heard someone's want to comment from here because we are behind schedule, so we can only take one more comment or respond, then we may have to pass it to our rapporteur to wrap up because we have prepared something to summarize all the comments here for our session. Any comments on site? Last chance. I would take it as a no, but then, oh, James at the back from IGF got a comment, I believe. James?
By the way, I have a question, as I mentioned in our chat. My question is, what are the existing digital geopolitics, especially here in Asia Pacific, that enhances artificial intelligence, most likely in the least economically resilient communities?
Thank you, James. So Emmanuel or Anya, as the keynote speaker, would you like to respond, or anyone in the room? So we could quickly address that before we move on to do the summary. Anya.
Thank you for a very difficult question, and definitely can't respond with one line. There is one thing that I think that goes to respond to your question is to think about. Some of you mentioned that we need to understand how to govern the AI. Then you were mentioning some particular stakeholders. In mentioning the particular stakeholders, you often refer to governments, the private sector, the businesses as the key designers of these types of technologies. But I think it's very important for the awareness raising and for creating our action points after this session. We must not forget the research community, the academic community, those coming from non-governmental sector, and especially those that know how, from a technical point of view, these technologies work and can be designed. And that's very important. Technical communities and civil society as equals to be involved in the overall framework of the governance of the internet. In terms of geopolitics, especially in Asia Pacific, but also globally, it's a very difficult question, but it's not, of course, it's possible to respond to it. In terms of AI, the AI goes in different areas of our life. So it's very difficult to speak about governing the AI without speaking about the domain which you govern. And that's why at the beginning I was mentioning, for example, the self-driving cars or vehicles, or for example, the question of patent, or the question of facial recognition. Those are particular areas that need to be looked at standalone to understand how the AI can apply there. And therefore, that's why on a national level, you have a strong shift, speaking from the international perspective, where national jurisdictions are taking actions in their hands and coming up with concrete legislation. That legislation often is different. If you look at the court decisions, for example, at the beginning, what I was mentioning, their decisions are different. Some of the colleagues here are from Australia. For example, the way you can apply patent or the intellectual property rights on the creation that's been created by a machine was different. It's been overthrown. One decision was that you cannot, and then there was another decision that you can. The US is very clear that you cannot because there's no human touch. But if you look in Germany, for example, it's a different decision. If you look at how the AI applies to self-autonomous cars, for example, then you will see that in Singapore, if there are colleagues from Singapore, there are still struggles, and the current legislation which you apply on any normal car, regular car, applies to these types of car, which is unfortunately not relevant anymore to the type of technology, so type of a car that we have these days. And the same is in others. So I think the question is really about the type of technology we want to regulate. And that's the area, I think, of the geopolitical environment that we have to understand.
Thank you, Anya. I believe Joyce wants to give a few words too.
I don't have a few words. I just want to poll the room, right? So we've heard a lot today about AI. We've heard many comments, opinions about biases, about trust. So what I want to do now is poll the room, make sure you guys are still awake. So do you agree that AI makes your life more convenient? Yes. Yes first. Okay, generally I see lots of yeses. No?
Yes.
Who says no? Did you say yes and no? So maybe do we have I don't know? Okay, so I don't know. Okay, we have one I don't know. So generally we seem to all agree AI is making our lives better, right? Okay, so next question. Do you trust AI to make decisions for you? Yes first. Yes first. Let's not get ahead. Yes first. Oh, no?
No. No.
So I don't know. Anybody on the fence? I'm not sure if I'm okay with AI making decisions for me. What was that? Conditional. So it depends, right? So it depends. So already just from these two questions, you can see there's tension, right? We all want to use AI and to have AI in our lives because we see the convenience, we see the benefits, etc. But there are all these issues and ailments and problems still associated with it. We don't really trust it. So I think that is kind of a nice sort of interactive way of summarizing this session, what it's about. Why are we talking about this in internet governance?
All right. Thank you, Joyce, for waking everyone up and then know what we are actually doing here today, because we have a lot of comment and then apologies. We always have do not have enough time for all this kind of discussions because these are really important. But before we actually officially wrap this up, I would like to invite Mauritius to give us a quick summary, and also Nicolas online to tell us what's next after this youth track session, because the fourth youth track session will rotate to the Latin American IGF. And Marisa, are you with us right now?
I am here. Thank you.
Thank you, Marisa.
Thank you so much, Jenna, and greetings to everyone in the room. Goodness, what a dynamic discussion. And we started off, if you can remember, with the question of curricula in schools, in digital policy. And the fact that there's a lack of exposure to AI in this space. We've gone on and progressed to different modalities in the edtech sector, which Dr. Emmanuel Oguso wonderfully shared, and how much autonomy we have when it comes to deciding how much of this do we sign up for as students, whether you are on university level or otherwise. And it's important to note that even after you are done studying a particular program, that the program still has access to your data, but you might not have access to determine how that data is used. What an interesting question indeed. And it spoke so much to our point earlier on do we trust AI? Do we trust it to make decisions for us? Do we trust it to protect our identities, to protect our information, to protect our decisions in life? Because as human beings, we are progressing and changing every day. There's so many questions as well that we raised. 91% of us said, well, I have been experiencing AI, but 43% of us are the only ones that said, well, I would trust it, right? We want to therefore affect what policy is saying when it comes to AI, certain decisions that are being made when it comes to regulating AI in our various spaces. And we mentioned a myriad of comments here, as you can see, on questions. What that I can control, people that are in the decision-making seats, how much of it can they control and what should they be paying attention to? And I would encourage us in the room. I know we do not have a lot of time for us to even mention some of the comments here right now. But I would encourage us in the room to not leave the discussion here. It's important that you now take up the baton and begin to stimulate these discussions in your own areas, because there's another dynamic that we haven't even mentioned, which is the gender dynamic. How does this affect women compared to males in the different spaces? As you even noted that this is only touching the tip of the iceberg. We will need to have continued discussions for this. Please be the champions of those discussions. And thank you so much for your time. And I leave the floor to Anya to continue, and Jenna as well to continue wrapping up our session. And I celebrate each and every one of you for commenting and for being so aware of exactly how much we need to put our eyes on AI, because it's not just the government and the private sector that needs to regulate this, but us, all of us have a role to play, and it's important that we step up and take our space. Thank you so much, Jenna.
Thank you, Mauricia, for summarizing our session and taking the lead of taking all the notes with all the commenters. Can we have like one last minute from Nicolas to invite all of us to the next youth track session at Latin American IGF? Nicolas, 1 minute, then we have to end the session and pass it back to our host. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. I am very happy to be here with all of you at the day 0 of the APrIGF. This was a very interesting workshop. I would like to say some more and more that clear that there is a gap between public policies and the advances of technology, right? Not meaning also about AI, but also metaverse, IoT, and quantum computing. There are existing concerns of bias evidence, a big gap to overcome, right? As Anja mentioned, this last part of the session was part of the youth track, a series of 4 interconnected capacity building workshops to develop the capacity on the overall concept of digitalization, right? To look into the opportunities and policy challenges it brings to the policy shaper and makers. And well, this was specifically the workshop 3. We have already gone through 3 workshops. The first one at EuroDig in June, engaging with unpacking digital transformation. The second one at the African IGF in Malawi in July. And this one, workshop 4, will take place on September 24 in the concept of the Youth Like IGF with the title of Digital Transformation and Opportunities Backed with Good Digital Policy. You know that the outcomes of these workshops will feed the IGF 2022 Global Youth Summit, as mentioned by Anya, which will be hosted at the 17th IGF in Addis Ababa in 28th of November in 2022. So I would like to say that this not end here. We are very glad to have a long of different regions and youth engaging on these activities. And I would like to invite all the young people and the senior experts also present today to join this workshop, because we are seeing an opportunity here to take a leadership, and you can have your leadership in your own local youth initiatives as well, to continue exchanging, and hopefully we'll meet all of you at Addis Ababa.
Thank you, Nicolas. Thank you so much for everyone who actively contributed and participated on-site and online. Because of the time, I apologize for overrunning a little bit, but I would like to pass the time back to the host. Thank you so much, everyone, for being so active in this session.
Thank you, Jenna, and thank you, Global IGF, for this insightful session. A lot of information to take, but it's not an exam, it's not a test. It's not necessary that you need to understand everything now. You guys have the link, you guys have the connection. So they're always open to your comments. So please participate. That being said, I want to move to the last part of our session, or second last part of our session. The last part is again the game that we started. So I would like to call upon Dr. Satish Babu, chair of APSIG, to give the closing remarks and way forward.
Thank you very much, Ashirwad. This is Satish, and I am from the APSIG. On behalf of my colleagues from the APSIG EC and the community, I must say that I'm really overwhelmed to be here. We had a huge bunch of meetings for planning out this joint session. It started way back some 4, 5, 6 months back. And it's very gratifying to see that the energy in the first part of the game in this room was really awesome. And I'd like to congratulate everybody for having made it here today. But I will not speak any further. I'll pass on the mic to my colleague, Sagarika.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have just concluded our APC, and I hope you have enjoyed that. And there were some people who are not in the APSIG, and I think you have heard about APSIG earlier. Anybody who does not heard about APSIG? Oh, one or two people be there. So when we are speaking about APSIG, APSIG is Asia Pacific School of Internet Governance, where we intended to train leaders in the internet of the Asia Pacific region, actually the capacity building. So this time we were able to we had our 7th event of Asia Pacific School of Internet Governance. So we have concluded that with 28 participants, and we got some good and bad feedbacks. So hearing that, we are planning to move forward with many future plans. And one is that with including the inclusion. So we have already initiated that. In last June, we have initiated a training program to train disability leadership program in digital rights and internet governance. So we are planning to move, looking for way forward with that, as well as another capacity building programs in future. So I hope you all will be joining us and get more knowledge with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagarika. So though APSIG is over, APrIGF has just begun, and your journey has also just begun. So I would like to again call upon Anju to give a 1 minute, just 1 minute to just.
Okay, so this whole session, we had so many acronyms, am I correct? Acronyms, APSIG, APNIC, APrIGF, what else? Global IGF, AI, okay, AI, artificial intelligence. Did you get it? Did you get everything? We don't expect you to get everything today, but I'm gonna invite the MSG, APNIC, APrIGF, APSIG to just stand up for 1 minute. For those ones that can stand up, I'm not expecting everyone to stand up. Sorry, Cheryl. But please stand up. Look at them carefully. Please stand up. Everyone come closer. Except Cheryl, sorry. Yes. Right, you see all these people standing up. Throughout the week, I want you to go up to them, ask them, okay, how does APrIGF link to APNIC? How does APNIC link to APSIG? You are the ones that need to ask. This forum is about you. This whole week is about you, okay? Yes? Okay, now time to stand up, and we'll do the final session before we let you go. Promise, it's going to be fun. You wanted to do an interactive, right?
Okay. So final thing, do remember that we'll have to take a good group picture, but before we wrap up, I want our youth YIGF people to give their closing remarks. And note that this event is about you speaking, about you interacting, and you engaging. And once that's done, we have a networking option where you play the game that we started. So if you could just give Bea and Luke, please listen to them.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for standing for us. Just kidding. Hi, my name is Bea. I'm one of the YIGF, part of the YIGF organizing committee. Apologies for letting you all stand up. Maybe you all can sit down real quick.
Just pause and then.
Excuse me, we're not done yet. Can you please take your seats so that our YIGF representatives can give a closing remark. I promise you it won't be long.
We'll restart again. Oh, yeah? Okay.
Sorry, we're almost at the end of the event, so please just take a seat.
Jenna.
Okay, everyone, I think we'll just start. Yeah.
So sorry. So this part is called moving forward, right? We got too excited, but then our YGF actually prepared something about like a moving forward and future opportunities, including all the forms that you can continue engagement after this event. So we prepared something for you guys, but we got too excited. So let me pass the time to Luke and Bea to continue this really quickly on how we can engage other than just participating in this conference. So apology on getting too excited too early. So I'll pass the time to you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be moving forward, just not that fast yet. Okay, next slide, please. All right, we can skip
Next
this.
slide,
Yep.
please. Go ahead.
Okay, so from youth to youth expert to global youth expert. So starting off at Asia Pacific Youth IGF 2022, which
We just
helped-
finished
yep.
wrapping up. a
And then
while
moving
ago.
on to APrIGF 2022, which is right now.
Right now.
And moving on to ICANN 75 in Kuala Lumpur, where myself and my sister are from. That's next week.
Yep.
Next slide. We have IGF 2022 Addis Ababa and ICANN 76 in Cancun. And then we have ICANN 77 in Washington, DC. Next slide, please. All right, so I think all these things really just depend on what your interests are, because there are just so many of them. And like you can search out which ones really interest you and pique your interest in them.
And just like what Anju mentioned a while ago, when a lot of the APNIC and other fellows from ICANN or IGF, they stood up, try to reach out to them like what Anju mentioned,
Yep.
and ask them how all of these are interconnected with one another.
Yep, next slide. So you can also subscribe to the APrIGF mailing list, and I myself have been helping out with Net Missions mailing list. So if you've received them, that's me. And the website is over there, and those interested in local IGF initiatives can head over to the links. I think these slides will be made available. Yep, and you can also subscribe to APrIGF news and updates or join the multi-stakeholder steering group. Next slide. ICANN APAC space.
ICANN is happening.
Yeah, ICANN is happening soon, and this space is for IPAC community members. If Jiarong is here, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what we have so far: community-led bi-monthly sessions, web conference, or face-to-face at ICANN meetings, and it will be a practice ground to facilitate community discussions for ICANN participation.
Next slide, please. So okay, so here are some of the platforms or programs that all of the youth can join. All of us, I feel like we're all youths in here, of course. We have, of course, we are pretty biased, Net Mission Academy here. We also have Next Gen at ICANN, ICANN Fellowship, APNIC Fellowship, and IGF Youth Ambassador Program. Next slide, please. We also have our online resources. I know some people at the back cannot see some of the links, but of course, these will all be available to you. Next slide, please. What can we do at the national level? So we have the fundings for initiatives. These are, of course, if you want to create your own initiative in your country or just locally, you can talk to Jennifer. Jennifer knows a lot about this, so you can reach out to her if you guys want to start up your own initiative. Next slide, please. Next slide. All right. We have the fellows.asia. Let's all stay connected. This is a Facebook page, so we would like to always stay connected with one another because we all have, of course, different opinions, and we want to share that to one another, and we want to listen to each other's opinions. So this is a great place where we can stay connected for future references, and of course, next slide, please. Thank you. So again, we're here to promote, of course. What else are we here to do? Net Mission Academy 2023 recruitment. Myself and Luke, we've been ambassadors. Yes, we've been here for quite some time. Maybe Luke, you want to share really fast your experience.
I actually joined the Mission Academy with my sister, Stella, and we've been here for, I think, 1 year doing IG related stuff. Yep.
All right. Well, on the other hand, I have been a part of YIGF since I was, for those who know me, I have been a part of YIGF since I was 16 years old. Now I'm turning 23 next month, although as you can see right now, my height is still 16, but it's getting there.
Moving forward.
It's getting, yeah, moving forward. But I just like to share, I graduated in a field of information technology, and it was a field filled with men, and I was 1 out of 3 females. I would like to relate that to being a part of the youth in the IG sphere. When I was in the IT world, I wanted to be better than all of them. And for youth, I think I can relate that to the youth, where us youth, we want to do best and be better and just keep, improving and make an impact in this IG sphere. And I hope you guys can do the same, and maybe joining Net Mission or other programs that we shared can really help you in your IG journey. Yes, exactly. But again, thank you so much. And we hope to see you within the week. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for bearing with us. I know that there's been a little bit of hiccups. We sort of changed the arrangement and you all bear with us. So thank you very much for that. Now, this is just a message, especially for our fellows. Just remember this session was especially for you. We know that we have been speaking about all the important stakeholders. Some of us have even spoken about some specific topics. Remember, internet governance, it's not so easy to achieve, right? But we are here together to do our bits. But if you look around the room, as Anju has mentioned already, we've got some mentors, we've got some past fellows, and we've got representatives from APNIC, from APrIGF, okay, and of course, IGF, Global IGF, Youth IGF. So please do speak to each other, get to know each other, so that if you need help, just know that we all are here for you. Ashirwad and I are also mentors. So just a very quick one for our fellows. We're done with day 0. Now, there's so many different topics to know about, but you don't have to understand them all today, right? Trust me, I've been a fellow for 2 years. I've been selected as a fellow twice, but till date, I'm still trying to learn about all the various functions that these different organizations to do. So you don't have to get it all today, right? But please keep asking us questions. We try to be as inclusive as we can. Do not hesitate to ask us questions. And do not forget that the synthesis document, there's an open invitation to all of you. I think it would be a very good idea for the mentors to speak to their fellows and try to nominate one person from the group to join the synthesis document committee. And also day 3, let's not forget about our 5-minute sessions, right? Speak to your mentors, get prepared. If you have any difficulties, you do speak to Christine as well. We are here as well. Make sure you prepare well, but we are with you all the way, okay?
Okay, with that being said, I think Sarai wants to speak. So this would be the last hand. And yeah, we can always informally talk with each other. We have this networking option. And let's take a picture before we leave, okay? We want memories.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Sarai Tewita from Samoa. I have a question for the Global IGF, and Samoa is in the Pacific. And I want to ask, why aren't there more Pacific islands in this Global IGF? Yeah, it may sound funny, but we are in this one global world. So being a representative from Samoa in the Pacific, so it's a bit sad, but thankful that we have some people that's sponsoring me to come here, to listen in this platform. I know it's a discussion platform for internet governance. That would be very interesting to hear and to learn from you guys and maybe share, because it's for the community. It's a multi-stakeholder. I understand, and I know this is a multi-stakeholder discussion platform. So I think we need to talk more about the community, not about just ourselves, but it's for the community. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for your question. we've actually had a fellow working at the IGF Secretariat from Samoa. We're just trying to find her name. No, it wasn't Savala. No, before. Yes, okay. Savala from Samoa, yes. And we have a very loud person from Fiji. So the South Pacific Islands are have been represented, but of course they can be represented more, especially since we also started the SIDS IGF. So we do encourage people from the small island developing states to come into the IGF, and we do pay particular attention to them, providing funding, etc. So it's too late now for Addis Ababa, but for next year, especially since it's going to be in Japan, which is in the region, please come forward, and we are in full support. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we'll take a group photo, but in a selfie mode, because we don't want to. Is this the right? Yeah, we'll try to just turn around. Oh, everyone's gonna come here? Yeah, so I think we'll just. You can put your masks on if you are a little hesitant about too much. Weren't we supposed to just turn around? Changing things every second.
Are we going? Are we going to fit there?
Sorry to say this, but I'm short as well, but the short ones, please come forward, please. I'm short as well, so. Okay. And first row, if we could sit around, that would be great.